Throwdown Nation. It is Wednesday night. We are live. We are streaming on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. All systems are go. And tonight it is my pleasure to have with me, straight out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Mr. Jamesen Shook. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing spectacular. Now that I know how to log in to Restream, I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's not always as straightforward as you would think.
That's
But
fine.
I've done enough of these live streams that honestly, if something didn't go a little sideways, it wouldn't be a live stream. So
No. Happens on all mine, so it's okay.
very good, very good. So one thing I'll say to everybody that's watching this live, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. And at the end, we'll do a short viewer Q&A session, and all questions and comments will be read and answered. So we'll go ahead and start with the first and most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
I have been wrestling, I got to do a year and 11 months.
Wow, so you are coming up on the 2-year anniversary.
I'm still brand spanking new to some people, yes. But 2 years is coming up. Very excited. December 19th will be my 2-year mark. And I'm very excited.
Nice. Nice. 2 years will put some mileage on your body too.
Yes, it does. 1 year put mileage on my body.
No doubt. No doubt. So who actually initially trained you?
Jaden Newman at the TWE Performance Center in Chattanooga, more specifically, Red Bank, Tennessee, and that's my home for wrestling. Is TWE.
Gotcha. Speed round.
Oh boy,
Christian Cage.
Christian Cage, top 5 right now.
For sure. He is doing some of the best work of his entire career right now.
He really is. The whole dad thing is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's pretty good.
I mean, I hate to put it this way, but right now he's one of the few bright spots AEW has going for it. I mean,
I think all wrestling shows have like their own type of thing that they have going for them. They're all different.
Yeah. I mean, and it all kind of goes in cycles too. So.
Yeah. They're probably gonna have a cycle where they're back on top at some point, and then they're gonna cycle back down and back up. It's every show does.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. So in the early days of your training, what would you say was the most challenging part? What was the thing that was the most challenging for you?
The cardio and the pace of it. I'm an athlete. I played multiple sports before becoming a professional wrestler. I did football, I did roller hockey, I did track and field. But there is no sport cardio-wise that compares to wrestling. So I really wasn't prepared for it, but I've kind of gotten it down now. No one ever really gets the wrestling cardio part down. People just have good cardio. They don't ever have it down. But that's been the most challenging thing for me, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So have you been a fan of this stuff pretty much all of your life? And if so, what is your earliest wrestling related memory?
My earliest wrestling related memory, probably WrestleMania 24. We went. I was a wee little lad. I was 5. But I remember being there. I mean, I've gone back and watched the show a million times thinking I could find myself, but no, I couldn't. I'm way too high up on the thing, so you're not going to be able to see me. But that is probably my earliest wrestling memory. But
yeah. Gotcha. Was there a particular point in your life where you looked at the TV or at the show or whatever and thought to yourself, you know what, I think I could do this?
Um, so professionally, in probably about 2019 is when I was like, okay, I think I can consider doing this. And then I waited 3 years to get trained because COVID hit. All
Right.
that sucked. Um, what made me start, and unfortunately it's frowned upon in wrestling, which I think is stupid. What made me start backyard wrestling was CZW, and which I've got stars, yeah, and I've done dumb things in wrestling, but like I didn't go that far. Um, some argue I have, but whatever. So probably around 2014 CZW times was when I was like, this is what I want to do for a living, and Ring of Honor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I never considered wrestling myself because, well, I'm considerably older. I've been watching wrestling at various levels of fandom throughout my life, but since I was around 11, and I just turned 55. So when I came to an age where I could have considered it, it was still very much the land of the giants. And I'm a fairly small guy. I'm about 5'5".
Yeah.
So I mean, at my size and everything, it was just never an option at the time. But it's done my heart good to see some of the smaller, really athletic guys actually making a go of it in the business now. It sort of makes me feel vindicated to some extent.
It makes me happy because like times have definitely changed for like body types, and not just in wrestling, but in like all sports. Everything's getting quicker.
Right.
Um, it's strange because I had this conversation with somebody who's helped me a lot in wrestling. His name's Dylan Hales. Um, he kind of pointed out that like at 6'3" and 215, I'm considered big on the indies, which is insane to me. But then like the more I travel, I'm like, dang, yeah, he's right. Because I mean, but it's not a bad thing.
Oh,
I'd argue
no, not at
it's
all.
a good thing. I'd argue it's a good thing because I'm glad that people aren't sectioned off in wrestling anymore, and everyone is just, you're not a little wrestler, you're not a big wrestler, you're just a wrestler, and that makes me happy.
Exactly.
That makes me happy. That's pretty cool to see. So
It is. It is. And the cool thing about wrestling right now is, there are so many companies out there, so many places for guys to work and hone their craft, and so many different styles, and I love all of it for different reasons, and I just, like I said, I've been following this stuff for 40 some odd years now, and right now is actually one of the most exciting times to be a fan of the business. Uh, I mean, wrestling is white hot right now, and it's just really cool to see it on such an upswing.
it's it's crazy because like people will, like I've always heard, is we'll never have another 80s period or that time frame type of period. Um, in certain ways we won't. I hate that, but there's definitely a boom that has happened and is still happening right now that would
Hmm.
rival that. Um, and it helps that there's not even two, there's like four major companies just in America alone.
Right.
TNA, WWE, AEW, and even GCW still doing big things.
Oh yeah, and MLW for that matter.
Yes, five.
Yeah.
There's five major
Yeah.
companies. that's and in the 80s it was like, I mean, you got WWE and sure you had Georgia Championship Wrestling or world class, but like not at this level.
Right.
Not
Right.
at this level. But that's my opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, having 5 major companies now with at least something approaching a national reach is just unheard of. I mean, that's
just in America.
yeah,
Because there's still AAA, there's still CMLL, there's
yeah,
still
New
Pro.
Japan, and
Yes.
yeah,
Like I just think it's crazy when that timeline's compared as a bigger timeline. I still think now, which like you're never gonna have another MTV WWF type deal with Lauper and Hogan,
right,
but it's not a never say never type deal to where something
right,
could.
right.
Yeah.
So away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Hobbies and interests. I'm a big sports guy. I have friends in wrestling that are big sports guys. I love football, as you can tell. Big, just Pittsburgh guy all around. Pirates, Steelers, Penguins. Strangely enough, not the University of Pitt. Unfortunately, Florida State, which sucks, but whatever. I hate talking about it. And like growing up, it's really one of the things I wanted to do with sports, because like wrestling for me was a backup plan at one point,
Hmm.
which is terrible looking back. I hate those days. But then I kind of figured I hated sports. I just want to do this. Now I'm having the most fun ever, but I still keep up with everything. Like
Right.
I have an extensive sports knowledge for myself, I think, that I'm proud of. And if wrestling doesn't work out, I could probably use that somewhere, which is
Gotcha. Gotcha. Speed round. Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler. God, extremely underrated.
Hmm.
It's a shame that I wouldn't say it's a shame. They've got so many good women's wrestlers now. That's the problem. Is Shayna's in such a. It's not a bad thing, but come on. Bloodsport's perfect for her though.
Yeah.
Bloodsport's perfect. And I hope she does more indie stuff, just other than Bloodsport. I think that
Yeah.
would be great, because there's so many matches I want to see Shayna Baszler do with indie
Hmm.
right now. Like Janai Kai and Shayna Baszler would be great. Um, Even like Shayna Baszler has this aura to her where you can put her in there with some of the male wrestlers too. Like you
Oh
can put
yeah.
her there with a Tom Lawler or a Suzuki and just find out what happens. It'd probably be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Actually, within the WWE system, I wouldn't mind seeing her do a program with Rhea Ripley.
that would be great. Shayna and
Yeah.
Rhea, because in NXT it was good.
Hmm.
I'd almost send her back to NXT and work with some of those wrestlers, because NXT's roster is so good.
Oh yeah.
NXT has a good
Absolutely.
roster.
For sure. For sure. So, you mentioned an affinity for Pittsburgh. Are you from Pittsburgh,
Yes.
do you just? Oh, okay. So how did you end up in Chattanooga?
Here we are. We just came here.
Gotcha.
It's a
Gotcha.
family thing.
Gotcha. So, what is your favorite thing about Pittsburgh?
It's probably because it's just such a sports heavy town. And that's one of the other things I grew up on was just sports heavy stuff.
Hmm.
And I love that.
And what about Chattanooga? What's your favorite thing about Chattanooga?
Oh, I mean, this is basically where I grew up. Chattanooga, there is a massive wrestling lineage to Chattanooga that I don't think many people realize. Um, that's one of my favorite things about it. City's great. I would say food's great, but it's mostly all McDonald's, Five Guys, and stuff like that. So stuff you can get anywhere. Aquarium's great. There's one.
The aquarium is very good. That,
Aquarium's
you
great.
know, the aquarium opened about the same time I was graduating from college. So I didn't get to see it at the time. I've come up from Atlanta a few times and seen it since.
Yeah.
Um, is Hamilton Place Mall still around?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that opened while I was in college, and that was kind of the place at the time. I don't know if it still is, but
It's still kicking. They've still got stores in there that I enjoy going to. They have some classic stuff that I like going to see. Could I name the stores off the top of my head? Nope, but I know they're there.
gotcha, gotcha. And at the time I was there, I don't think it's open anymore, but there used to be an Eastgate Mall that was I can't remember exactly where it is, where it was. I know it was in Chattanooga. It was called Eastgate,
Oh,
but
dude. Oh my god. I'm sorry, my power's flashing.
oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Let me check something real quick. Okay. I'm just making sure of something. Okay, cool.
Okay, everything cool?
Everything's good. We're good.
Okay. But do you have any memory of an Eastgate Mall?
I don't have memory of an East Gate, but there's still a North Gate in Hickson.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay.
So, they say that the best wrestling personas are yourself turned up to 11. So tell me a bit about in-ring Jamesen and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
Um. Okay. Well, this is a topic. This is a fun little topic that I've had conversation about.
Okay.
Depending on match. If you watch me wrestle, I do at least one dumb thing per match, like dumb bump, stupid move. Nothing that's like offensively bad. Now, if it's I hate to say that. If it's a death match, I just like to feel it. Well, that's just wrestling in general. I like to feel it. I like to be able to feel something. Um, it doesn't bother me. Um, I'd say like wrestling Jameson is kind of basically what young Jameson would have wanted his favorite wrestler to do. Someone who's very much a risk taker, who sometimes it comes back to bite them with some of the risks they take.
Gotcha.
And someone who I just want the people who are watching Jamesen Shook to be able to feel a connection with Jamesen Shook, because Jamesen Shook was one of them and still is at a point. Because wrestlers can say it all they want. They can say, once you're a wrestler, it's different. In some cases, it's very true. But every wrestler is still a wrestling fan.
Oh, for sure.
There is no arguing that. Um, so, to me, when I see myself wrestle, I want to be somebody that other people will enjoy. And it's hard to do that because I'm trying to mix everything. I'm trying to be like, okay, people want to see death defying stunt here. People just want a good old fashioned wrestling match, which is fine. I love all those things. But trying to combine them all is very hard. Um, but I'm going to do the best I can because, and sometimes I can see Jameson out there, and being like, okay, he would really like it if I did this. So that's kind of how they compare. Yeah, that's probably the best answer I could give you.
Gotcha. So you mentioned death matches. Do you consider yourself more of a death match guy or more of a I guess traditional match guy? Or is it is it kind of a 50-50 thing? And the reason I'm asking is last night I was actually scheduled to have a guy from up in your area, Anthrax. He was supposed to be on the show last night, and he had something come up and wasn't able to make it. But so I guess tell me about the deathmatch thing. How did you end up starting down that path? Because I know it's a niche community kind of within wrestling. So tell me a bit about that.
Deathmatch is what I grew up on.
Okay.
I saw a lot more John Moxley, Matt Tremont, Nick Gage, J.C. Bailey, Danny Havoc, way before I saw Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, John Cena, any of that,
Mm-hmm.
which again, love both. So again, trying to be who my younger self would like, I will do
Right.
these matches so my younger self could kind of be proud of myself. I will not consider myself a deathmatch wrestler. I will consider myself a traditional wrestler who can do death matches
Got you. Got you.
when the time comes. Do I think I'm good at death matches? Eh, like I was in a pretty cool tournament, made it to the final, which is awesome. I've met some of the best people in the world through deathmatch wrestling. Um, I Here's a take that some people won't agree with, but it's something that's needed to be said about deathmatch wrestlers. That no one else will say, and it's a shame. Well, some people will say it, but when they say it, they're shooed off into a corner, and they're like, don't listen to him. Um, there's a lot of deathmatch wrestlers who are just better than actual wrestlers, and they get no love, and it's a shame. Like, I would take Matt Tremont over 99% of just the wrestlers in the world today. Not independent, just wrestlers.
In general.
Yes, that includes Big Five. That includes everyone in Japan. That includes Europe. That includes Mexico, Canada, everyone. I would take someone like him 99% of the time over any of them. There might be those rare exceptions, but like they're rare.
Right.
It's the
Right.
same deal with, I mean, same deal with Nick Gage. Because, I mean, and that's a whole bit of stuff I don't want to get into with him and GCW.
Right.
I don't really, you know. But there was a point in time where Nick Gage was considered the best wrestler in the world in like
Mm-hmm.
2017. And if you go back, I mean, yeah, there's an argument there. Even like the guys who no one really knows about because they don't like to talk about deathmatch wrestlers.
Right.
Tommy Vendetta is a great professional wrestler. Malcolm Monroe III, a great professional wrestler. Um, I'm trying to think. Drew Parker, great professional wrestler. Brandon Kirk is one of the best wrestlers on the independents right now. Like, I don't know. If people want to call me a deathmatch wrestler, that's fine. I'll take it. It's cool. Again, young Jamesen would love it. But like,
Yeah.
I would very much consider myself traditional, who can do it
Mm-hmm.
when the time comes. But there's a lot of crazy disrespect for deathmatch wrestling that I'll just never understand. but it's fine.
Right. I mean, you know, I respect it. You know, it's there is definitely an art to it, and I think a lot of people, you know, shy away from just the pure violence that's involved and won't see the art and the storytelling that actually does take place in a death match. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like I said, I like and respect, you know, all forms of wrestling. I mean, you know, I'll admit, I mean, you know, death matches are something that I don't necessarily seek out to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, if one is on, I can definitely watch and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, so tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? You know, what were your thoughts going into it and your thoughts coming out of it? All that good stuff. So let's hear about the very first match you wrestled.
I got very lucky with my first match. I wrestled Aaron Wade, who is a very talented wrestler out of the Southeast. And he's gotten out and done a lot more too. Very talented wrestler, Aaron Wade. Um, yeah, I mean, nervous, of course, just like everyone else would be.
Right.
I was nervous. Um, I still get nervous before matches. Um, so nervous. I wasn't worried, but I was nervous. Like, I knew that if something went wrong, Wade had it, so I was gonna be fine. Um, Excited. It hurt, but I was okay with it. Like, wrestling hurts. I had
Yep.
a big old bruise on my left leg from all the kicks, and that was fine. Um, it's a good experience. I got very lucky with my debut match.
Gotcha. Speed round.
Oh boy,
John Moxley.
Man, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and has good to great eras in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like pre WWE was awesome. WWE, pretty good. Post
Yep.
WWE, incredible.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the WWE Moxley because he was so watered down. I mean,
Yeah,
um,
for me, it's like, was he watered down? Sure. Which, I mean, he was going to be watered down, which is something I had to cope with, um, which sucked. But I mean, I had to cope with it. But I felt like with what he was given, he took it and ran with it. And when he made it his own, it was awesome.
oh yeah, I mean, you know, he did the best he could with what he was handed. You know,
Yeah.
they talk about, you know, making chicken shit into chicken salad, and he's a master at that.
Oh,
So
yeah. I mean, he's so good. He's so good.
so we've heard about your first match. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
My favorite match I've been a part of. I've got a few is the problem. Okay, I'll split them off. Um, Again, these different sections.
That's fine.
My favorite traditional wrestling match I've had was a triple threat match. It
Mhm.
was me versus Anakin Murphy versus Tim Bosby in the finals of the Action Future Showcase because it meant a lot to me establishing that, hey, I'm here. Like Jamesen Shook, he's here and he's here to stay. And that, hey, if you're going to give me something, which Matt Griffin and Scott Hensley were very gracious to give me the Action Future Showcase medal for 2024, I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to try to make this important. I personally feel like I've done a good job because I am competing at the highest level I've ever competed at. So that one for me, and also in that match, Tim Bosby, so good. Such a good, again, young, great wrestler out of Memphis. Has won 2 state championships for wrestling and is an incredible wrestler. If you haven't seen Tim Bosby, you should definitely seek out Tim Bosby. He's really good. And the other person, Anakin Murphy, one of my best friends in wrestling. So that was really cool. And that was the first time we'd ever shared a ring. That meant a lot to me. We still haven't gotten one-on-one yet, which we will, hopefully. But traditional sense, that's my favorite match. Outside of traditional, so death, I ran my own show, August 2nd, 2024. It was called Good For You. Main event, I wrestled Matt Tremont in a death match. One of the guys I look up to, and had a really good match. That meant a lot to me. He put me in his tournament that I didn't know was going to happen. That meant a lot to me. Put me in the finals, which really meant a lot. And now me and him are on like really good terms, which is crazy because like I grew up watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're one of the best guys I know.
And to have somebody like that you've looked up to having the type of confidence in you to put you in, for one thing, to put you into his tournament, and for another thing, to put you through to the end. That speaks volumes about him and about you.
Yeah. It's still like, that was a couple weeks ago. Like, this was the last weekend of October. And it still hadn't really settled in yet. It will eventually. It hadn't even settled in that I wrestled him at August. But I'm sure like one day I'll look back and be like, my God, I did that.
Yep. And, moments like that, don't come around all that often. So, you got to take the time to kind of soak it in and just enjoy those moments, because it's the moments that make life worth living and memorable.
Yeah.
So what is the longest distance you have ever driven to get to a match?
Longest distance I've driven to get to a match. For now, as of right now, New Jersey.
That's a good little haul.
Yeah. Longest distance to get to a match, New Jersey. To get to a show that I was helping out with, Massachusetts. Which was 15 hours. Longer than that, actually, because we stopped so many times. But yeah.
Speed round. Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, man. Very good wrestler. Another guy who's not really talked about enough, and I get why, with the whole thing.
Right.
There's the whole thing, and then there's the whole bleeding on people and thing. But still, for his time, very unique.
Oh, for sure.
Because there's a lot of Abdullah the Butchers now.
Yeah.
But there's no one, though, compared to what Abby was. Quick, funny story. I don't know if you saw this go around social media during, God, what was it? Might have been Tournament of Survival this year. Abdullah the Butcher, again, Matt Tremont, and Matt Tremont were chilling. Abby was cutting a promo about how good Matt was, and he called him the Black Abdullah the Butcher, which is hilarious because Abdullah the Butcher's black and Matt
Right.
Tremont's white, so it's
Right.
so funny. But again, it's just one of those things. So yeah, Abby, very good.
Yeah, I remember, seeing him, here and there over the course of my fandom, and I always felt like the guy was hugely underrated as a wrestler just because of the reputation of the blood and the forks and everything else. But I mean, the guy could go in the ring.
He's one of the best monster heels,
Mm-hmm.
like, ever. Criminally underrated. Criminally underrated. Great big guy too.
Oh yeah. So, what is your biggest in-ring pet peeve?
My biggest in-ring pet peeve. Oh, there's two again. Dang it. Doing too much. So overkill,
Mm-hmm.
which I have been guilty of in the past. These two things I've been very guilty of, and I'm annoyed now because I get annoyed with myself. Doing too much, and just strikes that don't look like they hit at all, and just don't connect. So
Gotcha.
those are probably my two biggest.
Gotcha. So I know in terms of, preparing for a match, there's two general ways of doing it. You can either, talk to your opponent and kind of work things out in the back, or you can call it in the ring. Between the two major ways of doing things, do you have a preference? Would you rather work it out in the back, or would you rather call it in the ring, or is it sort of a hybrid?
Kind of a hybrid. I definitely want to know what the finish will be, so when I know when to stay down, and I do sometimes want to know what you're going to do in the beginning. The meat and the bones are like, form a skeleton for me, like, or I'll form a skeleton, beginning and end. All the middle stuff, we'll figure that out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Some of the bigger spots, let's talk about it. Because I definitely don't want to do those on the fly.
Right.
But everything else, yeah, we'll call it out there.
Gotcha. So I don't know if this necessarily applies to you, but I'll ask it anyway, just because it's kind of an interesting question. And that is, if you've worked in other countries or cultures, how have you handled language barriers when interacting with the fans or even working with your opponent? Have you had an issue like that?
Oh yeah. Um, there's a show. I won't name the show. Um, because I'm sure the people who hear this and who know who I am know what show I'm talking about. Um, there's this show in Tennessee where they allow their fans to say whatever they want. Like, you can go in there, you can say whatever you want. And I had to hear multiple slurs. I had to hear multiple cuss words aimed at me and my family that they didn't know, which is funny to me. But at the same time, doing a show like that, And I'm not condoning anything they did. What they did is horrible and wrong, and I wish they'd stop. And it's a shame that they just allow the fans to do that, in my opinion. Like, if you're going to allow your fans to do that, stop running. It definitely gave me thicker skin when it came to a crowd. So that's the one benefit that place gave me. I got thicker skin. And now when I go off to a different culture, like not wrestling wise, like the Southeast where everyone's into it, or you're going to go up to the Northeast and you're going to wrestle, but it's going to be very quiet. No one's going to say anything. They'll clap. They'll clap when they know they can clap, but like it's going to be very quiet for the most part.
Gotcha.
Which helps with crowd control. But yeah, that place gave me thicker skin, which is nice. But that's the only good thing they gave me. So
Gotcha. So if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
great. Great on the mic. Probably great on the
You
mic.
know, that particular question I have asked in all of these, and it has been virtually a 50-50 split. I mean, because it's a tough question because, the talkers tend to get a lot of attention and everything, but at the same time, if you can't go in the ring and back up the talk to at least some degree, that's no good. But the guys who can really talk and really go in the ring and are both can almost write their own ticket. I mean, it's a rare thing.
I feel like if you're better over the mic, okay, being great in ring, very important. Great over the mic, you have a lot more avenues in wrestling that you can go down. You can be a manager, commentator, interviewer, possibly even ring announcer. Like there's so many different things you can do great on the mic. But that doesn't take away the fact that being good in the ring is very important.
Right.
And I would say I am way better in the ring than I am a talker because I am not a good talker. But I've gotten this far. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Which is good.
So, what has been your most unusual encounter with a fan?
Oh, do we go back to that place? Maybe. I think we do. I've helped kick 2 people out of TWE for shouting homophobic slurs. Or just being very bigotry towards our wrestlers. So there's that. I almost got into a fight with a fan once because I stood up. Like I just got up to stand and they tried to fight me, which I thought was funny. Just a lot of slurs hurled my way in that one show. And what sucks is you couldn't say anything back because if you did, you got in trouble. So,
Right.
I mean, oh well. I knew after that my time was limited. So probably that. And then my last show there, multiple fans tried to fight me, which is funny. But that's good. I mean, I'm getting a reaction, which is nice.
Exactly. Love you or hate you, they won't forget you.
No, they definitely haven't forgotten me. We did a fair show that's like an hour away from that place. Well, not even an hour, probably like 30 minutes from that place. And there were fans who went there from that show and they said, "Hey, I remember you. Do you remember us?" I said, "Nope." So I just kept going about my day. But they definitely remember me, which is good.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Speed round.
Oh boy.
Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona. Very hot at one point on the Indies.
Yeah.
Has definitely faded, but is still doing good work. That's a guy who is luckily pretty good on the mic. So while he's
Yeah.
going through injury and stuff, him being on the mic at GCW has been pretty good. The whole Broski Jimmy thing is hilarious.
Yeah.
There's definitely a way that he can get that spark back, in my opinion, and it's not by going to one of the major companies out there. I mean, he's
Right.
in one right now. He's in GCW, but stay there because he looks from earlier. He looks different than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a star.
Yeah.
So I feel like him there is great fit. Really good fit.
Absolutely. So, do you have a preference between working heel or babyface?
I like both. I do babyface way more, so those times I get to do heel, I'm much more excited. I would probably say I enjoy being heel more because I have control. But babyface, I have more like connect here. I can do the cooler moves. I can do other things like that. So I just enjoy doing both. Honestly.
Gotcha. So, can you share an example of a time where you had to completely improvise during a match where something went sideways and
Very recently, the very beginning of
okay,
the month, I had a match against NWA star Rolando Perez. Well,
okay,
match. We were in the ring for like maybe 15 seconds. We go to do test of strength. Rolando snaps arms down and dislocates his shoulder. I didn't know at the time it was dislocated, so I'm like trying to do things, and he's telling me it's dislocated, but I can't hear him because I've got all these other things in my mind, like, okay, I got to get here, 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 here. Until finally he broke away. He apologized to me in the middle of the ring, which he didn't have to do. I really want to have that match still, me and Rolando Perez. That'd be fun. He's so good. So then I was leaving, and this dude who's in a team with Rolando, his name's Negative Lee, who is a very entertaining wrestler. If you haven't seen Lee, search him out. Very entertaining. He blasts me from behind, rolls me in, and we have an impromptu match where we called everything on the fly. Lasted a couple minutes, and for on the fly, was not bad. It's actually pretty good in my opinion. But that's probably the freakiest one I've had.
gotcha. So, do you have, for lack of a better term, an arch nemesis, somebody that you just really enjoy going against in the ring, that you have good chemistry and a good arc with?
I mean, wrestling Aaron Wade's fun. This guy from around here, his name's Chris Kronk. Very fun to wrestle him. Casey Owens, another good one. This guy named Marcus Dillon from New South. A very, very strong chemistry type deal there. Yeah, those are probably my main ones. I'm trying to think of any others. I know there's one that's probably sticking out like a sore thumb, but I can't think about it right now. Kevin Ryan too. I'll throw him out there with Chris. Me and Hunter Drake have good chemistry. Hunter Drake's a great wrestler. The few times me and Anakin have done anything, we've meshed well. Anakin Murphy. Those are probably mine.
Gotcha.
My favorite ones to mix it up with.
So, in terms of your in-ring work and your promos, who or what would you say are some of your influences? And it can be wrestlers, pop culture, any of that.
Wrestling and promo wise, the city of Pittsburgh, because we're very loud, very brash, talk differently. Wrestling wise, JC Bailey, Jimmy Rave, a little bit of CM Punk in there, some John Moxley. Those are probably my big four that I watch and try to replicate but make it my own.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you kind of watched it a million times and it just never gets old, and there's always some new little nugget that you can pull from it.
Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe is the best wrestling match ever. Have you seen this match?
I don't think I have. I've heard other people talking about it. That's one that I should probably seek out.
Oh my god! It's so Gary J, professional wrestler Gary J. His note about it is perfect. If you're trying to tape study to be a better wrestler, this is not the match to watch. This is not the match to watch. If you want to watch something that is entertaining, will keep you on the edge of your seat, and will fly by so fast, it's Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe. Because that match is so good. And it's not supposed to be good, but it is. It just. I don't know how to explain it. Quite violent, but Samoa Joe and Necro Butcher, so. But in a fun way. A very fun, violent way. This was during the whole. This was like right before Ring of Honor versus CZW. And they had that Cage of Death that wasn't a Cage of Death. Yeah. That's when Jim Cornette. Such a good match. That's a great match. My favorite match of all time. Far and away.
Gotcha. I will definitely have to seek that one out. That'll give me something to look at this weekend.
Oh, it's your life will be changed after that match. It changes lives. This match.
Well, you've got me excited now. I'm looking forward to it.
It's I don't know how to explain it. It's just good.
So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would you love to work?
Oh, my number one opponent that I will never get to wrestle. Well, 1 and 2 are Jimmy Rave and JC Bailey. Those are my wrestlers that I will never get to wrestle, and it sucks due to very unfortunate circumstances for both of them. But if I could wrestle anyone, it'd just be those two. And then I can call it a career and be happy. Present day, I mean, I've toyed the idea with me wrestling Nick Gage. I think it'd be funny. And probably fun. Or a John Mox or a CM Punk. I've got a few.
Gotcha. So, you're still a pretty young guy, so this may not apply all that much, but I'll ask it anyway. What hurts right now?
Hurts the most?
Yeah.
Well, I'm young, so I've still got that invincible pattern to me for now. Just give it a couple years. I won't be. I mean, for a while, I had this guy was hurting for a while, and it won't leave me. That was hurting for a while. That's a permanent one. That won't go away. I don't really have anything that's like bothering me because I'm restless.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it's a very good thing.
Yeah. So you're reckless, but you're safe.
Yes,
Yeah.
a reckless, safe person.
Yeah, you're safe, but you're willing to push the edge a little.
Yes, I am very
Yeah.
much willing to push the edge.
So, what is the most significant injury that you've suffered either wrestling or training?
Um, the New South's biggest tournament of the year. It's called the Heart of the Southern 16. I went for a whisper in the wind to the floor, which, looking back, what a horrible idea. And I take full responsibility for it now. I kind of joke with the guy Marcus Dillon all the time that I can't catch people, but like looking back, I shouldn't have called it, and I take responsibility for it. I went to do whisper in the wind to the floor, and I wasn't caught, and I landed on my back, splat, and there is an audible sound when I hit. It sucks, but that one is probably the worst one I've had. Again, that there's a hole in my back. Um, but those have all skinned over. Those are my worst ones. Yeah, far and away.
Gotcha. So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling?
It's the most important tool for a promotional standpoint in professional wrestling. It's the easiest way to reach out to everybody and anybody. If you're a show and not using social media, there is a problem because nobody is looking at flyers anymore. It's good to flyer. We'll still flyer sometimes when we get the chance. However, 9 times out of 10, people aren't really looking at it. I remember when I ran my own show, I was posting about it every single day just to drill it in people's minds, be like, hey, this is happening. Um, a good example of this flyer wise, I guess flyer wise, it was a billboard. I think it was in Hollywood, if I'm correct. It was either in Hollywood or Florida. Um, one of the new Despicable Me movies came out. It was Despicable Me 2. Um, and someone was driving by and like it was sign after sign after it was billboard after billboard after billboard after billboard. Like 20 of them just in a row advertising this movie. That to me is social media. Um, Social media can be everyone's billboard to build your brand or your show. Um, it's the most important tool, even though it sucks, but we all need it.
Gotcha. Speed round. Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader, the greatest big man of all time. I love the elephant that blew smoke. Big
Mm-hmm.
in Japan had one of the best debuts of all time when he defeated Antonio Inoki. So good. I think was it less than a minute? It was either less than a minute or around 2 minutes. It was somewhere around there, but one of the greatest debuts of all time. Came to America, great. Again, WCW Vader, incredible. WWE Vader, could have been better. Um, yeah, Vader's just one of the greatest, the best big man of all time.
You know, I would actually, I mean, obviously it can't happen, but I would love to have seen a Prime Vader against, I guess you could either call him Bronson Reed or Jonah.
Oh,
Those two guys, both of whom can move like a much smaller guy than they are. Those two would have torn the house down, I think.
Jonah is or Bronson Reed carving his path to being one of the greatest big men of all time. If you haven't done it yet,
Yeah.
I think Vader in today's time would be scary.
Yeah.
It'd be scary. Yeah, that'd be a great match.
Yeah, it would, man. That's one of those dream matches that unfortunately can't happen. But wow.
Sucks, but
The imagination just runs wild, though, of the possibilities if it could. I mean,
it would be a good match, though. I mean, Raiders.
so you're still a pretty young guy, like I said, but knowing everything that you know now, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't be dumb. Be smarter. Do I regret the things I've done in wrestling? No, of course not. I mean, I'm still young. I've got time. Be careful who you hang around in wrestling. That one sucks to say. Wow. Be careful who you hang around. That's a pretty important one.
Yeah. I mean, that applies to just life in general. I mean,
Take it serious. Take it more serious.
gotcha. So, do you have a favorite move, something you just really enjoy doing? And then on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do, or at least would rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
I love doing the Psycho Driver. Great move. Pump handle, hook him, flip him over, face, bam. Visually, it's a good move. Another one, Death Valley Rival, cradle. General's Order, the way Danny Havoc did it, where he'd cradle and he'd fall right into a pin. Those are my two favorite moves I do. That's why they're my finish. And then a move I don't want to take. I can take pile drivers all day. Those are fun. Oh, probably a Regal Plex. Those suck. I've taken one and I landed on top of my head. That was not fun. So probably a Regal Plex, yeah.
You know, not being a wrestler, but having watched it enough to kind of have some idea of some things. A move that has always just terrified me to watch as a fan is a vertebraker.
Oh,
I mean,
I've taken one, and it won't be the last one. I took it from a guy I've wrestled who I've had two of my favorite matches with, Brett Ison. He gave it to me. It was a no-ring show, which makes it even funnier. He put me through a door with a vertebraker, which was fine. It was fun. It wasn't that bad. Because someone was giving it to me properly.
Right.
And I knew how to take it. That's what most wrestling is when you get hurt, is when you hesitate and you don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
That's how you get hurt.
Yeah. So, do you have any pre-match traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you go through the curtain?
Some shows, I'll sit in a chair, like as my song's playing, just right in front of the curtain. I'll just sit in a chair, and then when like the time hits, I'll stand up and walk through the curtain. Other times, I'll just squat down. Traditions, I really don't. For here we go again, death matches. I'll listen to Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. I'll listen to that song because it just strikes me before I do a death match. Or Faint by Linkin Park. I don't really have any though, which is weird because there's a lot of people who have pre-match rituals, but I don't. It just
Gotcha. Speed round. Terry Funk.
Terry Funk legitimately has an argument to be the greatest wrestler of all time. Did it in so many different decades to his
Mhm.
surprised he lived as long as he did. Very
Yeah.
surprised. Um, a guy who could not just be considered an all-time great. Well, all-time great wrestler, of course, but like all-time great traditional wrestler, hardcore wrestler, just any type of wrestler except lucha. um,
Yeah.
Harry Funk is probably near at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. One of my top 3 favorite matches of all time was from back right around 1989. Flair and Funk in an I Quit match from a Clash of the Champions. That match is a masterclass in storytelling.
It's a very good match. One of my favorite matches I've been shown that belongs to Terry Funk was him versus Rick Martel in Puerto Rico on a baseball field. That's on YouTube. That's another good match to seek out. And that match is prime Terry Funk. It is crowd work to a T, selling to a T, moves to a T. Didn't do a lot, but he got the job done. Um, Terry Funk, yeah, top 5 wrestler all time. Maybe the best wrestler of all time. Not in my opinion, but he can be up there.
For sure. For sure. Something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So my previous guest was a wrestler out of Florida by the name of Forrest Nystrom, and his gimmick is he's the entitled millennial. But so I had told him that the next guest was going to be Anthrax, and like I said, unfortunately he couldn't make it last night. So he posed a question relating to the whole deathmatch thing, and it just kind of works out that you've done a few yourself.
All right, it works.
And so the question he posed is there an item that you will not take a bump on or through?
Yes, barbed wire or Kenzon. Barbed wire speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Unless I literally have to do it, then I'll do it. Kenzon, they're used for floral designs. I guess the best way to do it, like gusset plates are very common now. The things that hold roofs together. So of course we're gonna put them in our heads. Easy way to bleed. Kenzons are kind of similar in the fact that they are nailed into your head. However, the nails are like an inch long, to where gusset plates are like not. They're like way shorter. Like they're smaller than your pinky fingernail, the nail. Smaller than that. Probably half the size of it. Kenzons are long, and I've seen a lot of people put them in their heads, and it take minutes to get it out.
Yikes.
Guys, over an hour, and not for me. That is not for me. I'll do dumb things, but I won't do that. Yeah, Kenzon that's on my no list.
I can't say I blame you on that. Wow. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
it's a no go.
Absolutely. Like I said, I can't fault you for that at all.
I'm sure
So
someone will hear this and ask me in a match that I have, hey, do you want to do this? And I'll say no, but I'm sure because that's happened before.
So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question you would like to pose to the next guest? And I can go ahead and tell you tomorrow night, I've actually got a tag team from here in the Atlanta area. It's the name of the team is SGF, which stands for Stay Great Forever. It's two guys, Ray and Quay. seem like really good guys. I'm excited to talk to them. You know, I like to talk to folks from here in the Atlanta scene. So do you have a question you'd like to pose to them?
Tag matches. I've done a lot of tag matches in my day. Let me think. Okay. How do you feel about the Southern Tag Team formula? It's the best formula.
Okay, I will ask them that. How would you answer that question?
It's the best formula because it's the easiest match to have.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Got you. So, do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to? And tell us a bit about the Chattanooga indie scene.
Oh, of course. This Saturday I am at New South Presents Brawl for Y'all in Gadsden, Alabama, in the Gadsden Mall. This Sunday I'm back at Forever Pro Wrestling, November 17th, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, on Amnicola Highway at the VFW. Next Saturday, I will be at Action Wrestling in Fayetteville, Georgia, at the Lion Creek Bus Barn Brewery. And then after that, I'm back at TWE, Chattanooga, Tennessee, yet again. And then the day after that, we get in the car, drive 10 hours to North Carolina for PWS, Colby Carino's show. For the weekend after that, and then I come back for. No, I don't actually. Never mind. That was wrong. And then for the weekend after that, I've got nothing, and I might travel to go watch wrestling. So that's what I got going on, and the Chattanooga indie scene. Somehow it's growing. For a while, it was just TWE, but there is another respectful show going around called Forever Pro, and they're doing some great things. TWE is still blasting off into popularity. There's a reason people from Germany watch TWE. There's a reason that the Scenic City Invitational is held at TWE. Chattanooga is a hotbed for independent wrestling, in my opinion, because and that's another one of my favorite things about this city, all the way back to the beginning of the show. There you go. You got Atlanta, Alabama. Florida's not that far. Just some hours away, about 8. It's not that bad. North Carolina, South Carolina. Midwest is only 6 hours. Chattanooga is right in the middle. And there's a great school, TWE, where you can train and hone your craft and train with some of the best wrestlers in the Southeast, like a Casey Owens and Aaron Wade, a Jaden Newman, and some of the best personalities, like a Reverend Dan Wilson, again, Tank, Dylan Hales. So many great things about TWE and the Chattanooga indie scene, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Well, we're pretty much at the end of things now, so I want to thank you for your time. This has been a blast. One of the things I love about doing these is just having the chance to more or less nerd out about this stuff with like-minded folks,
Yeah.
and it's really a pleasure doing these. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this in replays, thank you for that. This thing is really taking on a life of its own, and I'm booked up for the next few weeks. And coming up, like I said, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 50. I've done 50 of these with Georgia-based tag team Stay Great Forever. Next Wednesday, the 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 51 with a Georgia-based ring announcer by the name of Alex Amaya. He is currently the voice of Phoenix Wrestling Experience out of Augusta, Georgia. And then next Thursday, the 21st at 7 p.m., episode 52, and I've got a Florida-based referee by the name of Todd Harris. He works a lot with Atomic Legacy Wrestling out of Central Florida. So I'll be talking to him, and I've got a bunch more scheduled. So keep an eye on my socials, because I'm like I said, I'm pretty heavily booked for the next few weeks, and I'm really getting a charge out of doing these. So everybody have a wonderful night. Be safe, love each other,